can have handled the jar while someone else is netting, and you can actually, if they're on flowers, you can go right over the flower like this and catch them. But many moths, it's just impossible without a net. And there's no way around that. We're just going to have to make sure we share nets. Okay. And things will fly out. You won't always see them, but someone else might. And you get a lot of moths coming up that way. So all the various kinds of habitats you go to, whether it's one of the marshes or the bogs or things like that, you get specialized species in those habitats. And this is one of the ways to be able to get those moths to fly up. You just tap the vegetation and they fly up. These are the light traps that we'll show you over here. They're all night, never stopping. And under even a light that you're watching with your eyes, there are a lot of moths that come in and bounce off and you never really see them. They're battery operated, we just clip them to a battery. Yeah, you have to have a battery that'll operate 15 watts all night long.
Yeah, it's just for the car battery.
Yeah. Car battery works great. I actually tend to use wheelchair batteries because they're designed to discharge and recharge, discharge and recharge and discharge and recharge. All of you, I think, were given a map at the point with a bunch of numbers on it. If you happen to be at one of those numbers and you tell them that, they actually have the GPS locations already for all of those numbers. Cut them across the lead edge, put them into piles. You may not be able to sort into family files. That's okay. What you may be able to do is go through one of the Petri dishes and make sure that we have the lot number go with them. So write a little number on that one that goes with it. And then we can sort through under the microscope for the small moths and get the little tiny moths out. So that will happen mainly in the light traps because that's where we're going to have these piles like this. The stuff that comes back that you've collected will be a much smaller pile, presumably, unless you're really efficient. But it will happen basically the same way with just a much smaller pile. It'll be much more quick. Then the stage after that is to go through and make what we call our synoptic collection, which is the collection that the park will be keeping. And we try to do that with the big moths by field pinning. And here's, for example, a field pin moth. This is from that same trap sample. The larger the number, the thicker the pin, so it goes with bigger moths. You want to use a pin appropriate to the size of the moth so that you don't have a zero being used with something like this and just kind of flopping around because the moth is so heavy. So I used 2 because that was the biggest pin that they handed me when we were doing these. And then we'll pin down to probably about the leaf roller moth size with zeros. And then beyond that, I never pin any moths beyond this. I encourage you, take some time with some of these piles that people create here and start trying to put names on some moths. Start big, work your way down, and use either some of the books that we have here or go onto the Moth Photographers Group website and troll through their pictures. So that's the basic process that we go through. Once we've got them in here, along with lot numbers, right? So once we get them pinned, we have to put lot numbers on them so that we can get data labels back with them. Then we'll construct this voucher set for the park with identifications on them, and that's what they'll have at the end of the list. They won't all be spread, but that can actually happen later.
That's a pink one.
Yeah, mine's honey like
put the author on, and then what you need is The number one on it.
No, you shut the cover this time.
And yet it's insects that feed all of birds and the mammals and the fish. And it's insects that eat all the plants. So it's a really key piece of understanding what's going on in any natural ecosystem, particularly a national park. This park is really fortunate because they already have another baseline data set from the beginning of last century, where Proctor sponsored a survey of the whole area and published all the insect species that they found at that point. So we're going through now and saying, are we finding things that they didn't find? And yes, indeed we are.
All have been captured with nets or by hand, picked off if you can grab them. The butterflies have been netted.
Nets like that.
Nets like this.
Classic cartoon.
Yep. And then at night, we are capturing wasps because they're tracked.
Everything that you see here was caught in the past 24 hours. Okay, it was caught right here on Schoodic Peninsula in this part of the park in the past 24 hours. Right?
And our current total is somewhere between 200 and 250 species.
With around 20 of it butterflies.
Yeah, about 20 butterfly species and everything else.
Like a bloom.
In the spring, that's when we make